the buzzword around that. So we were excited to highlight two of them. I know many of you have books inside of you. Being an author, so it was great hearing from Tom and some of those practical things that go along with it. And I love his offer to help mentor if you want to write a book too and become an authorpreneur as well. So thank you, Tom, for that. So next up, we're excited. We've got Robert Maxfield. You know, when I was at the university, we often told young people, go out and experience the world, but then come back. Well, some of them come back just a little bit later in life to benefit the community. And so we're very excited that Robert's come back, and he's excited and thrilled about St. Joseph. And so he's going to share about his journey.
I apologize in advance for what may come out of my mouth. I have no idea.
And it is live streamed, so just keep that in mind.
Right.
For those of you who didn't know, we are on Facebook Live, so if you want to go back or you want to share this to help promote them as well, please do.
I have so much to say. Typically when I talk for like an hour, hour and a half, and I teach like 3-hour classes and that sort of thing. I hate this. When I'm teaching a class, I'll use, a PowerPoint. I haven't even made a PowerPoint in 10 years or so, something like that. I'm a storyteller. I'm like an actor. In fact, I'd probably be Brad Pitt, except I was afraid to go out and just be an actor. I was a jock. I played basketball. I played football. Really good at golf. Actually, my team won like second in the state of Missouri when I was a sophomore back in 1974. And that was the best that Central had ever done. So I want to tell you a little bit about me. I want to tell you about the book, but I want to inspire you more than anything, because I'm all about opening minds, trying to get people to reach their human potential. I've had the opportunity to go everywhere. I grew up here. I was here till I was about 23 years old. I grew up on Lover's Lane. I was very fortunate. My parents loved to play golf. So I was out there playing golf and hanging out with adults from the time I was a little kid. By the time I got into high school, I'm pounding beers at the country club with adults, many people that that are now leaders in town. I remember stacking beers out there. Yeah, partying. My brother's out there dancing, with adult girls. And so I've known some of these people forever. Okay. So then I also knew when I was literally 9, 10, 12 years old that I was going places. And I don't mean geographically. I knew that I was going to travel all over the place. And I wasn't just going to visit. I'm not talking about being a tourist. I somehow knew I was going to live there. I was going to spend enough time there to get to know the people, to get to know the location. I'm a creative by trade. My mother was an interior designer here. She designed the country club at one point. She designed the home right next to the Albright Art Gallery, the Davis family home. You probably remember that. And various other mansions and things around here. My mom did that. My dad was a small town veterinarian, very wholesome, grounded, calm, man of few words, prided himself on knowing everyone. So I'm a mix of my parents. I love to get to know people. Okay. I want to go to the grocery store and have that person go, I know who you are. And in fact, you look very familiar to me, ma'am. Do we know each other? I ended up getting a degree in economics. So I have this whole financial side of me. I was an investment representative for Edward Jones for a while. But I really like girls. I really like girls. And so I went out with a lot of girls in high school and college, and turns out I'm this real social guy too, and I'm creative, and I got real distracted. I was horrible at economics, but I did learn quite a bit. And during my time at Mizzou, one of my buddies, Ben Vineyard, who's also from St. Joseph, his father basically built all of Deer Park. He developed that. He goes, hey, Max, my nickname is Max. Most people call me Max. I also have a personality disorder. I go by Bob, I go by Bobby, I go by Robert, I go by Max. I've been called Maxi Pad, Maxito to my Mexico friends, and at times even Stay Free. So he talked me into going to college in Mexico. So I spent 6 months of my life in Mexico over 2 summers, and then I traveled all over the place. I had 2 Mexican girlfriends, And I've been from one end of Mexico to the other, lived with a couple of families, studied the language, the psychology, the history, whatever. Unbelievable. I took scuba in college, and then when I graduated from college, me and three buddies hopped in a Volkswagen camper van and went all the way to the tip of Baja. And we had learned to spearfish and do breath hold dives, to hold our breath as long as possible and dive deep. So I've been as far as doing breath hold dives to 80 feet and staring eye to eye with like 100-year-old ship that had sunk in the Baja of California or whatever it's called now, and watched people spear fish like almost longer than my body. I've worked at the top of the Continental Divide at a ski resort at Keystone, just in utter awe of the spine of the Continental Divide, snow-capped. I had no camera. I had nothing even to ride on, but I just had this incredible vision of that. I've jumped off of a mountain in Zermatt, Switzerland, and paraglided down to the bottom. I have been in the backs of police cars in Mexico City because we were caught drinking in a park. And ultimately, you learn that they just want your money. So you bribe the cop and he lets you out at the bus station. You know, I have done so many things that normal people haven't. I've gotten to travel to many parts around the world. I spent 2 weeks with Tom Cruise in Shanghai, China. I spent a couple of days with Tom Cruise on Mission Impossible 3, where they had come in with this Skycam rig and big 300-foot crane there and a 300-foot crane there and cables. And you know how Tom Cruise always runs in his movies? This was Mission Impossible 3. It was in Shetong, China. And I was there, and I'm a sound mixer mostly in my life. I record dialogue for motion pictures. I used to be a boom operator. I was there wiring up Tom and planting microphones so that when he's running down this 2,000-year-old canal in Shetong, China, if he says something, we're trying to capture his voice. I've worked with Arnold Schwarzenegger on a movie that had Chris Christopherson 35 years ago. I've worked with Shirley MacLaine, Jack Nicholson, Robert Duvall twice. I can go on and on. Jody knows. I've had this just incredible life, okay? And it has really opened myself up to possibilities and potential. So now, about 10 months ago, if not maybe even a year ago, my brother, who has lived in Kansas City all of his life, he's like, hey, Bob, I want to make a movie of St. Joseph. My brother's a big-time golfer. He goes, I want to make a movie about the country club because Steve Craig just recently put in this museum, but he'd been talking about it for a long time. And Larry's like, I want to do this story about the history of the country club, and I want to do the story about the history of St. Joe, and I want to tie all that together, you know. I'm like, okay, great. I love that idea. But you don't just make a movie. It doesn't happen. By movie, I'm thinking, you know, he wants to make a Hollywood blockbuster. That's the way I'm thinking. And I think he was thinking something like a little documentary or something like that. So he goes, we got to pitch this to Stephen Gray. We got to come up with a story. So I wrote this whole story about golfers and knickers, and we shoot it in black and white, and we hire 8 actors to come in and say, yes, I'm going to hit it up the tree and just fade her a little bit into the freeway. You know, and that evolves into more modern day characters. And we're selling the whole experience of golf, the history of golf, and the history of St. Joe, and why people should come here and go to his club and spend money. Because we wanted to have his club make more money. So I met with him, I don't know, close to a year ago, and I pitched this whole thing to him, and I was like, wouldn't you like to have an extra $100,000 coming into your club because you can pay for this? Because he's not making any money on the country club. He's losing money. He didn't have enough people that come there and get it. So I did this whole thing and pitched him, and he was like, well, that sounds great. I like what you're doing, Robert, but the timing is not right. Okay. So several months later, Larry's like still wanting to make a movie, and I'd already started this story about, St. Joseph years ago. And I was like, okay, I'll start working on it. So I came up with the idea of Joetown. And I'm sorry I'm not using this. I just can't do it. I don't even know where the button is. Right. Usually when I talk, I just put a slideshow up and let her buck. And there'll be some things, those things like that. I don't want you looking at that anyway. I want you looking at me, I want you to feel the vibration. And that's kind of what I'm all about, if you couldn't tell. because that's what stories do. I'm a storyteller. I'm an inspirer. Okay. So Joetown, wow, I'm already parched. I haven't cussed yet. That's a good thing. Joetown is about this like double, triple PhD professor at Mizzou who loves it. He loves the university life. Corporate life sucks. You have certain parameters you have to meet. People are judging you. You even have to have HR meetings and all that kind of stuff. This character doesn't want to have anything to do with that. He loves kids. He loves inspiring. He loves opening their minds. He loves getting them to ask questions. When a person asks questions, it makes us feel better about ourselves. It's more important. And now you have 100% of our attention. Bailey, wherever Bailey is. Bingo, right there. First, you want to entertain. First, you want to get their attention. First, ask people about who they are, what they're doing, where they come from. You not only have their attention 1,000%, you've also made a friend. If any of you know Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People, I took the training. I took the damn training, and the first thing they do is put you up on a stage, and every once a week for like 3 months, you have to put on a presentation. It builds confidence. You're telling stories. You're bringing people in. You're opening minds and possibilities. Extremely powerful tool. Storytellers, Hollywood, what they do is examine you. They examine the situation. They look at the economics. They ask you, what is your product or service? Where did you come from? What are your interests? They're examining your body posture, what you're doing. I keep moving because I try to keep the energy up because I don't want you to take your eyes off of me. It's all by design. Hollywood does everything by intention. If I'm talking about the Wizard of Oz, which I did talk about last week, there was a guy here selling an AI product and everybody's minds were spinning. My God, I don't even know what this guy's talking about. And I've used AI a ton. I've been around forever. I'm 68 years old and I'm looking at this thing. I don't understand. He's talking about DOI, COD, FYC, AI, algorithms, and all this stuff. And I went up to him afterwards. I was like, dude, I kind of know what you're doing, but my brain's spinning. What I'd like to hear you say is, well, I'm kind of like the Wizard of Oz. People come to me on their little yellow brick road and they end up there for different reasons. And I go behind the curtain and I start pulling levers and the smoke goes and the lights go and we hear sound like that. And next thing you know, comes out this carriage and we're going to get you back to Kansas. You know, that's the way I operate. That's the way Hollywood operates. It's intentional. Next time you watch a movie or TV show or anything, if a guy is standing next to a fire alarm, I guarantee you it was intentionally put there. They wanted you to see that. The actor didn't just end up in a room. He is in a room that has been designed specifically for everything in that room has a meaning. It could be a pen sitting on a desk. So next time you watch, if you don't already, look and see what's in the background. Look what kind of props they have. When you shoot a photo, okay, you want a prop there. You want a story to tell. Just a person standing against wall, like that, that doesn't say much. But all of a sudden you put a flag there, you put the Wizard of Oz there, and there starts to be a story. The welts on your butt a calf can suck. That is the most brilliant thing in the world that a person can come up with. That, and the very last thing you said about the rooster, you wouldn't have to have said anything else between those two things, and I would have bought your book. Did you pick up on that too? The way he finished it with the rooster little story, that's what's in the book. Now I know exactly what's in the book, So anyway, that's how I go about doing it. Joetown is about this economics professor who is assigned against his will by the state of Missouri to come to St. Joseph and figure out what the hell is going on. Because as the lady from Missouri says, St. Joe's a drag on Missouri. Okay, St. Joe's a drag on itself, but it's also a drag on Missouri. No offense. I think you know the science project that this town is. There's a lot of stuff going on here. So this guy comes to St. Joe and he tries to figure it out. He's being put up in what I call Chateau Bordeaux. By the way, this is a fictional story. That allows me to say whatever the hell I want. And if I'm wrong about something, yeah, well, it's fiction. I can do what I want. Okay? So he's put up in what I call Chateau Bordeaux. It turns out folks around here who know call it the Aunt Jemima Mansion. It's, as far as I know, it's a real thing. Later on in the story, he finds out that his caretaker, that her superpower is breakfast. And come to find out, she's actually a descendant of Aunt Jemima, or the Lady Nancy Green that played Aunt Jemima way back in the day. There's all kinds of historical references. It's not a historical book, but it does goes into visions and what I call frequencies, where he experiences Jesse James on a gurney. He's just been shot, and all the cowboys are there and they're pushing him out and keeping people away. And he's like, "What the hell is this all about?" He experiences these things firsthand. You know, he goes down to the stockyards, and all of a sudden, you know, his father was a veterinarian and worked at the stockyards, and my father did. And all of a sudden, he's seeing the stockyards as it was, you know, 60, 70 years ago, and it's moving there. He goes to the river, and he has these flashes of the wagon trains and the Ebenezer, whatever it is, ferry boat that went across, Ebenezer, I think it was, that came across. I'm really good friends with Greg Hatton, who's an incredible historian, and Bob Ford. It's so great. I've spent so much time going around town asking questions, Bailey. Ask questions, okay? Ask questions about the people. I've met with several of you. I ask questions. I first find out what you're all about. And then you like me, and you want to tell me more. And then I kind of start feeding my story in the same way I'm feeding it to you. And it's amazing how it draws people in. I met Wes Simmons, about a week ago. The way I got to him was a guy named Tom Watkins, former attorney who saw some stuff of mine online. Then Tom introduced me to Lowell Cruz, who used to run Mosaic. You know, he was amazing. And then after a while, Lowell got so excited, he's like, "Oh my God, you got to speak with Wes Simmons. You got to meet Wes Simmons." And now I've met Wes Simmons, and he told me about Tim Doyle. Now I know about Tim Doyle. And somebody told me to talk to Bob Ford, you know, and now I've sat down with him numerous times. I don't know where the hell you found my name. Was it a strip bar or something? I did? Okay. Yeah. For entrepreneurs, again, I'm really ultimately here to inspire people. My book is about inspiring people. It's not a motivational book. You won't read it and go, "Oh yeah, this is inspirational." You won't read it and go, "Oh wow, this is motivational." You won't read it and go, you know, you probably will go that this is a science experiment. That is probably what you will find out. Ultimately, the character goes like to what I call the lion's den, which is the city council and the city hall, and he gets attacked. You know, he thought he was just going to be introduced. He gets attacked. He ends up falling in love. Of course, you got to have a love story. You have to have a goddess. Okay. And here's another little tangent. There's an author named Joseph Campbell. He wrote about mythology. His mythology and his stories and the characters that he developed are so amazing that George Lucas fashioned Star Wars after Joseph Campbell's characters and stories. There's character everywhere. If I am your counselor and trying to help you with your life, I'm going to ask you, who's in your life? Where'd you come from? Blah, 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 all that. But now we're going to get into who are the characters in your life, because you have allies. You have a goddess. You might have a king. You have threshold guardians, people that stop you from getting places or stand in your way of getting somewhere, or they open the door and let you in to get to your goal. This works for entrepreneurs. I actually have developed a idea that I want to take to a programmer, an AI generator guy, and generate an AI model that I can plug your information into. I'll interview in depth, and you tell me this, that, and the other, who's on your team to achieve your goal, what's your product or service, et cetera, et cetera. And this thing writes a screenplay. It writes a screenplay on your life, because this is what Hollywood does. It analyzes you. It figures out who your allies are. Who do we want the bad guy to be? You know, or the bad situation. Sometimes it's nature. Twister. I worked on Twister. I've worked with Bill Paxton many times. Helen Hunt.
So how did you
Should I take questions?
with your brother to writing a book?
Great. Are we already in the question session? See what I'm saying? I could go on.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, is he advancing it?
No, she is.
Oh, great.
I'm moving
Good idea.
So, yes, we can, unless you have something else you want to say. We can go
I
there.
always have something else to
Let's go
say.
to questions and ask away.
Yeah.
Yes.
What was it again?
So we left off, you were making a movie with your brother. It's going to be
Yeah.
shot in black and white.
Yeah.
How did it turn into a book?
Bingo. Good question. Good question. I want to make a TV show. I want to create a TV show called Joetown. That's the ultimate reason I'm doing all this. It's harder than hell. It's damn near impossible. But if I can create a great story, if I can build momentum, if I can intrigue some important people like actors, producers, directors, etc., that's my ultimate goal, which is very unique. It's not like, most businesses, but there's some comparisons. So the book is my prospectus. That's why I can't do this. The book is my treatment. The book is my business plan. It's all about the economics of this town. It's all about meeting these characters that are part of the story, how they affect it and how they can lift it up. It's all about figuring out what's going on in the school system. It's all about getting business leaders involved and how we can build the economic part of this town. It's all about, most importantly, changing the narrative of the town, changing the story, changing the energy, increasing the positive vibes in this town. The school system and that are my biggest goal.
Questions.
Wow, come on.
So you have the right connections, I think, for the.
Oh, I have everything I need. Yeah.
Because that's part of it, right? We need
Yeah. Yeah. And my inspiration for you guys is ask questions. Those of you who are building businesses, ask questions from people. Ask better questions. Get in front of bigger, better, more powerful people that can help you get to where you want to go. But please start with your story. Share your story. Open minds, open possibilities, and people will just feed you. Several of you are here because I've already talked to you, and I don't think you want to know more. I think you're just a little interested in the whole energy thing. Yeah, Bailey.
So I'm almost finished school, and I was
Yeah.
wondering, what would you recommend I start doing to try and start marketing myself, start putting myself out there?
Create. Keep creating. Put yourself in a position where you can create and keep sharing your stories. Just know that you got a rough road ahead of you, and that sometimes that difficulty is the core message in your creation. But always strive for something bigger than you are, bigger than it is. Don't just make a coffee shop. Tell a story. Did anybody here read the op-ed I had in the paper just a couple days ago? Yeah. Okay. And the example was Buc-ee's. If you've ever been to Buc-ee's, it's an amazing story. It's not about gas. It's not about that. Nobody can compete with gas. They're all out there competing with gas. Buc-ee's figured out that it's not about that. It's about the story. It's about the entertainment. It's about attracting. And then they put all that great food in there and beef jerky and all those desserts, and they made it big and they made it really quick to get in and out. I don't mean driving in and out because that takes forever, but getting in and out of the place. And they made it like Disneyland. And occasionally they have a mascot there that you can get pictures with. Build your business in that way. Build it around a story. Yes, ma'am.
Online question. Is the book available yet, or when will it be?
Do stuff like this too. People watch this shit. It's weird. What was your question again?
Is the book available yet, or when will it be?
The book is written like 7 times over. And every time I come here, I keep coming up with new ideas. I was like, oh, God, I got to get that in there. I'm talking to Wes now. We're building some stuff. Now I got to get that in there. Every time I talk to Bob Ford, I get a new idea. Now I got to get that in there. But I hope to get it out in the next couple of months. And you'll know about it. Have you guys seen my scruffy character? Anybody seen that? I do this video. This old man like this, I don't know who's going to read the book. Just go get it and tell your kids to buy one too. I'll do anything and everything I can to get your attention. Once I have it, I'm selling you a book.
So what is the path? What is
Yeah.
your plan to take the book to the TV show? Like, what does that look like traditionally, or are you doing it untraditionally?
I'm doing it traditionally, but not the way you guys think, not the way a normal business goes. I have to get momentum. I have to get their attention. That's why I say the book is the business plan. It's the business card, et cetera. It's the story. It's the treatment, to what I want to do. So I have to build momentum. I have to get interested. It has to be so interesting and then I have to go appeal to like some actor friends of mine. Like I can get to Andy Link. I worked on The Walking Dead for 4 years. I worked on Stranger Things for several years. I actually have a contributing Emmy for Stranger Things and a show called Watchmen. I have Carrie Elway's telephone number. I have a bunch of people I can get in touch with. And hey, look at this. Will you help me out? And what I'll do is I'll ask them questions. Hey, would you know you need to do that kind of thing? And then same with some director and producer friends I have. But I want to go to Netflix, and I don't know anybody at Netflix. But I want to be able to show up and go, hey, look, the town's talking about it. I got the support from the city, the Chamber of Commerce, and I'm selling stuff all over the Midwest. But more importantly, the story that I'm telling is more applicable today than ever before. God damn it, people need to come together and talk. At the end of the book, it's a come to Jesus meeting. It's a summit where I get all of the leaders, all the thought leaders in town, the people with money together in a room. I was like, God dang it. Feed them some barbecue. Let's have some beer. Let's talk. We need to get some things done in this town. It's the only thing that's going to make this work because they're the money. They're the people that can make things happen. I'm telling the stories to open the doors and get people excited. But we have to change the narrative of the town and fix the school system. Anyone else? Okay, let me at least ask this. Did anybody feel a little something positive or get a little energized, or anything? Anybody else? Nobody? Okay, one person.
So I got a question. Going off of Jody's question.
Yeah.
One thing related to your article last week in the paper. What was the key to Bucky's success? What's the key?
Bathrooms.
Bathrooms.
Yeah.
You didn't mention that, and I just had to bring it
Yeah,
up.
if you've been there, if you know the answer to that. You go in, there's like 30 stalls, 30 urinals, and 10 sinks, and it's big and it's clean. It's very clean. Okay, so
what
you.
kind of time frame would you put between the book and hopefully a series on Netflix? What going
Oh,
off of Jody's
couple of
question?
years.
Couple years.
Yeah, once you get it going. And I hope I do, but it's really hard to get one off the ground. I tell you what, if I do get it off the ground, there's going to be 1 million people that know about St. Joseph that never knew this town before. And they're going to want to have coffee. They're going to come and stop for gas, and they're going to stay in hotels. They're going to tell stories. In Atlanta, The Walking Dead and Stranger Things have just helped to go. They have bus tours. Crazy people are going to all the locations and taking pictures and telling stories. It's nuts how it works.
What was your favorite project to work on in your whole life so far?
Did anybody see Empire Records back in the 90s? You did? That was my favorite movie in the whole world to work on. Renee Zellweger was in it. She became famous over that and then did Jerry Maguire. Liv Tyler, what's his name? Steven Tyler from Aerosmith. Yeah, Aerosmith, she was on. Well, we stayed in a condo on the beach. In fact, that's where I fell in love, met my wife, had a child with her. I didn't have my first child until I was 48. So I have a daughter that just graduated. Oh God, that movie was so fun. The 2 kids, I forget their names. Ethan Embry, he was one of the stars of the show. He and another kid got put in jail because the actors can be really crazy. They went to Walmart and bought these little squirt guns and filled them with water, and they're out in the parking lot going, "Hey, I'm gonna get you," like that. And they're like, "You can't scare people like that." So they arrested him. Anyway, that town has done so much. That's probably where I'm going to retire. Wilmington, North Carolina is where we shot.
I don't know if this is our last question, but I think it's the
Yeah.
most important. And
Yeah.
I think it is you're going home. You do not live here.
I live in Atlanta.
So how can you encourage us to relearn what we already knew? Because when you go home, a lot of us will say, "Oh, there goes another business closing again, and what's the hope?"
Yeah, and what's he know about our town? He doesn't even live here.
How can you encourage us to be positive?
That's what the book's designed to do. That's why I'm here. I hopefully will speak a lot like young Tom. And is that part of what you're looking for in the answer?
Can you encourage us?
Like I'm even trying to do a media campaign. I'm going to the top and going, look, you need to be putting things in the media every single day that are positive. The only way to beat the negativity is to put more positivity on top. It's the only way. You need a 4-to-1 ratio, bigger, better, ever. So it happens in the writing. I do it. Tom does it. Bob does it. All of these people are so critical. You guys should meet Wes Simmons. I meant to talk about you more, Wes. Wes and I are working on some stuff. He has built the framework to build this town from the ground, and I mean kids, all the way up. And if all goes well, you'll hear about this more and more and more. Does that help?
Yeah.
Okay.